Hey viewers, my name is Cara. This is just sort of a update-ish kind of video, somewhat of a topic, but really just because of what's going on in my life at the moment. So firstly, happy March. I cannot believe it's already March. What? So yeah, I am still getting things done that I intended to have done in December to begin 2019 fresh. That never happens. For some reason, I just seem to never be able to stick to self-imposed deadlines. I don't know why. A lot of the time it's because technology screws me over last minute, and I still love technology, so it's definitely not like, rawr, I hate technology, so therefore it's horrible to me. I love technology. I love the things that it enables us to do. It enables me to make friendships all throughout the world online. It enables me to learn from people, talk to people, never feel alone, all of these things. And it also enables us to be entertained in different ways than we would be entertained without technology. So I love technology. I don't know why it's so mean to me sometimes. So the title of this video, we have 3 R's because I wrote down 3 main topics that I wanted to update you on, I guess. Just stuff that I've been dealing with mostly in the past week and thinking about and trying to make time for. So I didn't know what I was going to do for the video, and my partner was like, just do a video talking about all the stuff you've been talking about for weeks straight. just do it for the internet, right? That's what I do typically, so it made sense. So in this video we have readings, rewards, and reclaiming because number 1, readings. I have been trying to update my readings page on my blog and update what I offer as far as readings that you can purchase and that I can do for you, tarot and oracle card readings, because I first made the page years ago and I was really only using a few different decks at the time that I had. And last year, especially last year, I really dove deeply into learning more about tarot specifically as a form. Before that, I felt much more comfortable with various oracle decks. If I connect with that particular deck, then I was good. Tarot as a form was something that was a little bit more difficult coming to me. And so I really dove into studying that a lot, especially last calendar year, 2018. So especially during that period of time where I had a little hiatus and I didn't post any videos on my personal channel for 4 months or something like that, for almost 5 months. During that time, I was doing a lot of tarot study, pretty much every day, hours a day. Just because it's fun and interesting, it's something I want to learn more about. So really ever since then, I've been thinking, and because also I have acquired a lot more tarot and oracle decks since then, because I used to not buy new decks even if I found them really inexpensively, because I kept telling myself, no, you don't need to purchase more decks if you're not even reading them yet. So I made myself buckle down and learn more about it, and so then I started acquiring more and more decks. So since last year, I've been meaning to redo my readings page because there are some decks that I used to offer on my blog for readings for the public that I haven't really been using as often, and then I've gotten some newer decks that I'm using on a personal basis a lot more. So I just wanted to update it. I started working on updating my readings offerings page really a week and a half ago. I started kind of plotting it. I started doing a little bit of editing to the text that was already there, nothing huge, but I kind of revamped what was already there and then wrote out a little description of all of the different decks that I have so that I can rotate throughout the year which decks I am having available. And that way I just have all the descriptions already typed out in a separate document, and then when I rotate the page seasonally, I can just copy and paste the ones that I need into there. And so I also like spend a day just doing photos of all my decks so I can have a little picture with then a little description about the deck, put those on my blog, and just do like 3 or 4 per season, because I have something like almost 20 different decks now, including all the ones that I own that I do not read and will not be offering to read this year. I have around 20 to 22 maybe, but probably more about like 17 that I could actually use. So I think it'll be easier for me rotating it seasonally so that I'm just like, all right, here's the 3 or 4 that I'm really gonna work on right now. And then whatever ones I'm doing for my personal stuff will kind of always rotate. So started doing that, taking pictures, and then I decided I wanted to do a little picture, like image type thing for each of the actual spreads that I offer, just to kind of make it more interesting, because I know that page was just like a lot of text on a screen, which isn't super fun or enticing to look at to everyone. So I wanted to put some fun images in there. So I spent hours the other day working on that. So the last day of February, the second to last day of February, I ended up spending 8-ish hours working on collab topics for the Pagan Perspective collab. Didn't even intend to work on it that day, but it was up in a tab on my screen, and I thought, oh, this will be quick. I'll just do this really quick. I'll finish collecting the topics and put in the ones for March and April, the next 2 months. So we'll have them and we'll be ready to go for the collab for the next 2 months. That's usually what I do. And instead, I looked on the channel page and we had gotten like almost 30 new suggestions for topics. And I had also asked for suggestions on my Instagram story because I was not aware of how many were already on the YouTube. So I got 6 suggestions from Instagram, and then I also asked the team for topics in our private group, like the actual members of the collab, and I got a ton of new topics from them. So I was just like, all right, so I'll just keep putting all these in and organizing them, and a lot of them were kind of repeats or had to do with the same topic, so I wanted to put those together. We haven't done this in the past year or so because we haven't had enough topics and suggestions asking about the same topic to do it. But in the past years, if you've been watching Pagan Perspective for several years, you will know that we used to do like 2 different people's suggestions or 3 different people's suggestions in 1 week topic because they all were similar and maybe they were asking about slightly different aspects of the same thing. So even with doing that for this upcoming year and putting together, doubling and tripling up on a lot of the similar topics, I still had enough to do all of 2019, and I didn't even have to use all of the new topics that have been suggested. So 2019 for Pagan Perspective, the topics are booked. Like, how did that even happen? It's crazy because sometimes we'll go through kind of like a dry spell where we're like, in a couple months we're gonna have no topics, and then we'll have like 5 trickle in, and it's like, all right, that kept us going. But yeah, in the past 5 months since the last time I asked for new topics on the channel and then I just left it because we were good, I just go back and check whenever I need to get the new topics. It's not like we don't check it every week or every month. We just let them pile up, and then when we need more topics, I go get them. I was not expecting so many, but like over the past 5 months, I guess that's like 5 a month. That's not actually that crazy, but it really adds up. So I ended up spending 8 hours on February 27th just putting together the collab topics for the whole year, but then they're done, which is great because that means I don't have to think about that going throughout my every other month, I don't have to worry about being late doing that. And then I thought like, oh my gosh, yes, I got so much done. I feel so accomplished. And then I was like, oh, but I still have to go and link all the videos in the blog. And I haven't done captions for any videos on my channel or Pagan Perspective in years. And there are community contributions set up so that viewers like you can submit captions for videos, and you can actually check it to say that it was you who did it, so you can actually take credit for the work that you've done. And I'll check on my channel again. I don't know if anyone did end up doing that since the last time I did it, or YouTube changes all the time, so I'll have to check and see if it looks different, or like where you need to go to do that so I can tell you guys. And that way, just if you have a day where you don't really have anything else to do and you want to get up close and personal with one of my videos, you can sit and, you know, listen to it a sentence at a time and type out the captions for me in English, so that we have English captions for everything. And then those who want to translate it into different languages, maybe you're bilingual or trilingual, it's a lot easier for people to translate the videos if there's already English captions. So anyway, I was like, yeah, I got all this stuff done for the collab, but then I was like, oh, but I still have to do the blog, and I still have to do captions, and like, and I was just getting really down about all the stuff that still needs to get done. But then I kept telling myself, no, like, don't think about that. You just spent 8 hours doing a thing that's really good. Good job. So I did that. And then the 28th is the last day of the month because it's February. So I would usually have a few more days to finish up getting another post on my channel for my Patreon that would be sponsored by my patrons so that I can pay my bills, because that is how I pay my bills. This is what I do. I do not have a day job anymore. However many years ago I first told you guys I was going to be doing that. Yeah, I did that. I guess I don't talk about it quite as often, so not everybody realized it. I don't know if people kind of missed me talking about it or what, but I've been talking about like needing to do some fundraising so my partner and I can get a new desktop computer, new editing software, some good studio mics so we can do a podcast, and so we can do our streaming better. We do a little bit of video game streaming, so we want to do like some different types of content that would be available for you, and there's just like certain things that we need to get, like maybe a capture card also, stuff like that. So I've talked about fundraising and like what's the best way to do that and what's the best time to do that, and people kept saying, well, like, why don't you just use your Patreon money for it? And it's because Patreon pays my bills. So if I take the Patreon sponsorship money to buy the new tech stuff, yeah, I could do that. It would take me probably 5 months worth of Patreon stuff to get the stuff that we need. And in the meantime, that would mean I can't pay my bills for all of those months. So it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way. It was a good suggestion. When I used to have a full-time job and Patreon was kind of extra for me to travel and stuff like that, that would have worked. But because it actually pays my bills, a couple of them, graciously, my partner takes care of the rest. If it was just me, I don't drive because I can't afford to put gas in my car, and I wouldn't be able to afford groceries. Like, Patreon literally pays 2 of my bills, and I have like literally $10 left. So, you know, whatever. I count it as a win every time I like do my posts and I see my earnings for the month and I'm like, oh my gosh, that actually pays 2 whole bills. Hell yeah. Because it used to only pay 1 bill. Now it pays 2 bills. And the month that it ends up that I can pay 3 bills, or that I can also make my student loan payment, because I haven't been able to make a student loan payment in like 2 months. When it gets to the point where I can pay my 2 bills and make a student loan payment, I'm gonna throw a party. Like, I swear. I'm gonna do a live stream or something. Like, I'm gonna be so pumped when I can actually support myself doing this stuff. And it would be a lot easier if I had gotten my courses started again and offering courses, which I will do. But again, there's just so much that I've been trying to get done. And then around the holiday season, obviously I had a death in the family. We had a lot of car trouble that took a lot of time and also a lot of money. We bought a house, we moved, so it's actually cheaper for us to live here than it was paying rent at the apartment where we were living. So, which it seems backwards, right? Like buying a house seems like a bigger investment and paying rent is supposed to be easier, but rent is so expensive. Paying a mortgage is cheaper. So we are saving money by making this big change. And again, that was all up to my partner. So Patreon did not buy this house. None of my money went to this. So yeah, just super grateful, ever grateful, and trying to be proud of the things that I am accomplishing and can accomplish due to everyone's graciousness and everyone's help, including my partner, including my mother, including my brother, my partner's parents, anyone who's helped us out in any way, our friends who watch the cat when we would go travel, which we haven't been able to do for a while, but that's fine. So yeah, I've been looking into a lot of events and stuff that I'd like to go to as well, and I've had some of you have told me about events in your area that you'd like me to go to, and unfortunately I've had to say, like, yeah, I can't really do that. I don't have the money to travel there. What you can do, if you ever come up with anything like that that you think would be cool for me to attend, is if you can contact the people who actually organize that event and ask them if they have a budget to invite special guests, especially if they're out-of-towners, then maybe they can actually invite me to come speak, and maybe there's a little budget that would help me actually get there. That's what I've done before for when I speak at Unitarian Universalist churches in my area. They have a built-in kind of guest speaker budget, so I actually get a little compensation, at least for my travel time and gasoline and stuff, to be able to do that. So that's actually like total side stuff. I was talking about readings, but it's all just different things that have been going on and reasons that I have really been wanting to redo my readings page so that I can start advertising my offerings more and do some readings. It's a good way for me to keep developing my skills and also make a little bit of income to help pay the bills around my house. So, working on it for days, took a break, did the collab stuff for one day, went back to it on the 28th, and I was like, all right, I'm going to get this page done. I'm going to launch it. I'm also going to get another post posted on my channel for my Patreon so that I can pay my bills this month. It's going to be good. Took a break to eat dinner, came back to my computer, and for some reason, my readings page that I had left it open. So I didn't close it, nothing. I don't know what happened. Somehow it refreshed or something, and it decided to revert all the way back to the original draft, ignoring all of the changes that I had been making to it for the past like 4 days. On and off. Like, I had done work on it. I went away from it the one day to work on collab stuff, went back to it. Everything was still there. I don't know why it just decided to revert all the way back, and I lost all of the work. Now, luckily, the stuff that I had typed up about the decks in the other document is still there, and any photos that I had edited are still on my phone and in my drive, so I saved those, but they are no longer in the post, and all the other little stuff that I had typed around it and the formatting that I had done, like, all of that is gone. So on the 28th, I was just like, well, you know, it's 1 a.m. It's technically March 1st. Clearly, I'm not getting this done before March, so I'm gonna take a day off. So I took March 1st off, and I just tried to catch up on watching a couple videos, scrolling through social media, seeing what other people are posting about watching. Like, I watched Danny Lang's somewhat recent book review of Laura Tempest Zakharov's Weave the Liminal, because that is a book that I am planning on getting soon, and so stuff like that. So I just kind of tried to catch up on what other people are doing, which is part of my work, but kind of the more hands-off, relaxed part of the work. So yeah. I still have not finished my readings page. It is currently a draft on my computer, and I have been hitting save after like every sentence that I type because I don't want to lose it again. I don't know why it happened before, which is the frustrating thing, so I don't know really how to prevent it again. It's just like totally chance. I don't understand it at all. So I'm gonna be working on getting my readings redone, and then you're gonna see it's gonna look prettier. It's gonna have pictures. I'm really proud of the little images that I'm coming up with because I'm doing it kind of like how I've been designing my custom thumbnails for my channel and Pagan Perspective. I use a couple different apps and things, so I've really been enjoying it. I really like the way they look. Yeah, cool. Readings. That part of the update's done. The next thing is rewards, and that is just to say that I also wanted to redo my rewards for my Patreon, the different tiers of rewards that you get based on how much you decide to pledge to support my work. And I started like sharing my new concept of how I was gonna theme the rewards tiers with my patrons back in December, and then stuff happened, life happened, and I couldn't get it done by the end of September. So then in January, I said, okay, I'm gonna actually change the names of them, I'm gonna update the numbers, but what's gonna go in them is still TBA. So right now, all of them except the first one say this reward tier is under reconstruction, and I wanted to get the readings page all done and relaunched before figuring out my readings or my rewards tiers, because I used to do readings for some of my tiers as a reward. So I just kind of wanted to get that settled first and then figure out what I'm going to be doing with rearranging the rewards tiers, maybe adding some different types of rewards and stuff like that. So if you decide to join my Patreon now, or if you just go and check it out, the link's always in the description of my newer videos since I started doing Patreon. It's not in the really old videos because it didn't even exist then, obviously. But it's patreon.com/cutewitch772. That's Patreon, Patreon. You are a patron of the arts, a patron of the work that the people on Patreon are doing. So that's kind of where that name comes from. And yeah, if you go and look at it now, it says that the rewards tiers are under construction. It also doesn't have any specific goals. All of that is being redone. So I apologize to my current patrons. I know you've been waiting for new stuff, and I have lists lying around my house of like brainstorming different types of things that I can put in for you. I had another couple of hopefully good ideas about it today. So yeah, but I wanted to get a video up because it just seems like I never get a video up the first week of the new month, because I'm always scrambling to get something done by the end of the month so that I have enough posts. And then for like 2 weeks after that, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to do anything. I don't know. What do I do? What should I do? I don't know. And then it's like the middle of the month when I finally wake back up and I'm like, I'm going to do a video. Here's what I'm going to do a video on. And that kind of goes along with, I was talking about in my tracking my journals video, where I was tracking all my journal entries and wondering, because I noticed I used to write a lot of journal entries around the middle of the month, like around the 15th. It kind of goes along with that, because I still feel like even though tracking my journal entries, it didn't seem to show a really clear pattern of journaling at the middle of the month, I still feel that. It happens. Like, it's like the middle of the month comes around and all of a sudden my brain activates and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do all this stuff. And then from the middle to the end of the month, I'm like, well, now I have to fit in everything that I have to do in 2 weeks, because then when the new month comes around, it's gone. Like, I don't know what it is. It's very weird. But yeah. Third thing I wanted to mention is reclaiming. And the reason this came up is because after I actually don't remember what day it was now. It was either the 27th after spending 1,000,000 hours, and by 1,000,000 I mean 8 to 10 hours, working on collab stuff, or it was the 28th after spending 8 hours working on my readings page, 2 hours having dinner and watching Star Trek, coming back and everything was gone, and then spending 2 hours starting to redo everything frantically. I think it was the 28th, because it was around midnight. I was about to shut it down and go to bed, and I saw that I had some new emails, so I looked, and then I ended up emailing people for like an hour at 1 a.m. So anyway, this is why it came up, because I ended up spending time doing this at 1 a.m. 2 nights ago. So for those of you who don't know, the reclaiming tradition of witchcraft is a witchcraft tradition that started in California, in the Bay Area. It was started by such people as Starhawk, who you may know as the author of The Spiral Dance, which I have the 20th anniversary edition right here. This is one of the covers you may have seen. The Spiral Dance, A Rebirth of the Ancient Religion of the Great Goddess by Starhawk. Starhawk is not the only person who started reclaiming. It started out as a group of people known as the Reclaiming Collective, and this was back in the 70s, 80s area. I guess it was kind of the 80s where it was more formally began to be a thing, and then this book was published. Starhawk was younger than I am now when this book was published. Original copyright 1979. So yeah, 1980 is usually the year that people say. I guess it's just kind of like rounding up some of the many things that happened around that time. But anyway, that's what that is. I went to my first and only so far Reclaiming Witch Camp, which is a week-long intensive magical training camp. That makes it sound like boot camp. It's not boot camp. It's like, well, you know, I have a playlist of videos talking about my first experience. I went to my first one in 2015. One of my teachers was actually one of my previous collab members from Pagan Perspective. Brendan was one of my teachers. And since then, I've been going to shorter weekend intensive workshops and classes, taking core classes so that I can eventually be considered a reclaiming trained teacher myself. It is a tradition that as soon as I really felt ready to read Spiral Dance, because I knew about Spiral Dance years before, but every time I looked through it, I was like, I don't know, like, it seems really cool, but for some reason, I don't feel ready. And so it was really like after I graduated from college that I picked up the book and I was like, okay, now I'm ready. I didn't know why. I didn't know anything really like about it. I had just heard the name before, but I'm glad I waited, because now I understand why before that point I really wouldn't have been ready. So, but ever since then, I've just loved it. I feel at home there. It has a lot of very Wiccan-based influence, as does my path, but extends beyond that, as does my path. And there are just a lot of things about it that I love. So I went to my first witch camp. I've gone to different classes and trainings and workshops in smaller communities that are nearby for me. And by nearby, I mean within a 6-hour drive from where I live, because there is no reclaiming community in my area, or as far as I can tell, in all of Ohio. There is a link on the reclaiming website. There are various links to different communities all around the world and all around the United States. And so back in 2016, after I went to my first witch camp, I met a couple friends there who we all kind of had a little talk. I think it was during lunch or during one of the free hours. Somebody was getting a little group together to talk about building community and creating community in areas where it does not yet exist. And I was part of that group. I met some friends who also did not have reclaiming community in their areas at the time. One of those friends was already working with a group in their area that have already blossomed and developed into a nice little reclaiming community. They, thankfully, are within 3 hours from me, so my partner and I have gone to stuff with them more often than not. I have also gone to some things 6 hours away from me, and these are both in other states. But there's nothing here. The place on the website that says there should be something where I am, which is Ohio, refers to the tri-state area. And there was a Yahoo group for it that was created in, it looks like 2005, and it was created for the tri-state area of Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky, which is a thing. I mean, it makes sense because they're right together, but the point in the middle of the three of them is like 6 hours away from me, which, again, I've driven that far before, but the only other person I've been able to reach out to in Ohio who's interested in this type of thing also lives in my city. So we're in Cleveland, and it is an older person who has been in the area and been in the community for multiple decades and gave up on trying to find other people who were interested in the type of stuff that reclaiming is about. Most people in our area don't seem to be interested in it or don't know about it. A lot of the shops in my area don't even carry books by Starhawk, even though the Spiral Dance is considered one of the major books of the neo-pagan movement in the United States. Some of the shop owners around here don't know about it, have never heard of it. So if the only places that you're going to really meet people and try to find community are shops, then it really depends on what the owners of those shops are into and how they kind of mold their atmosphere of their space and what they're doing. So that makes sense to me. In past years, like back in 2006, on this old Yahoo group, people had reached out and said they were in Ohio. They were in Southern Ohio or something like that. And nobody ever replied to them. So I don't know who was running the group, or if somebody just set up the group arbitrarily just so people in Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky would have somewhere to click and feel like they had a chance to possibly reach people. But every post that was in that group that was actually from someone reaching out like, I live in this area and I'm interested in reclaiming, is anyone here? It was just crickets. No one ever got back to them. At this point, those posts were made 13 years ago. And I think those people have left the group because I've tried replying to them to see if they get an email notification, if I can still get in touch with them. Never heard anything back from them. So in 2016, when I was looking this up, I posted in there and I said, hey, I'm in the Cleveland area. Here's my Facebook page. Here's my email. Contact me, because nobody is moderating this group. It's full of spam. Like, I don't know who runs it or what. So I was telling one of my college friends actually about it, and so I decided to look back at the group, And I noticed that last year, 2 people had reached out saying they're in Kentucky. And I never got a notification that they had responded to my post. So, and they didn't contact me directly like I had said. They just replied in the group, and I didn't see that until now. So, you know, they wrote something like 7 or 8 months ago at this point. So I'm like, hey, sorry for the delay. That's why I asked you to contact me. I didn't say that. But, you know, I don't get notifications for this group apparently. So, hey, I'm in Ohio. I'm not where you live, but they put us in this tri-state group together, so let's talk. So basically what I've been trying to do is just over the past 3 years now, since I first posted that, I've heard from, I think, 4, maybe 5 people. Most of them are actually in Kentucky. So I'm not there, but I'm just like trying to, if they Facebook message me, I tag it so that I know that's what they were interested in. If they're emailing me, I'm putting it into a specific folder so that I can just try to help people make connections and meet each other. Like, hey, you are the only 3 people in the past 3 years who have gone on this website for this tradition and found this group and said you live in this state and you're interested. Maybe you should know each other. So what I'm gonna do is try to contact someone and find out if I can be made the owner of that group, or if I can create a new group and have that link put on the website so that I can actually be the one moderating it and actually reply to people when they reach out, because it was just so sad to me that I saw, like, oh my God, at the time, it was 10 years ago, someone reached out and said they were in Central Ohio. Where are they now? How can I get a hold of them? Who knows, you know? They might not even live here anymore. So it's just like, I don't know. It's a lot, but I'm on the slow and steady track, I keep saying, to becoming a reclaiming teacher myself. Right now, I can technically teach for the purpose of building community, but you have to find people who are interested in that first. So if any of you watching this video are some of my Ohio peeps, some of my Cleveland area peeps, more specifically, but Ohio in general, and if you are in Kentucky or West Virginia and you are interested in things such as what Starhawk talks about in the spiral dance, she doesn't talk about the name of the tradition in this book because, like I said, it was really early on. It was still just the Reclaiming Collective. It wasn't really thought of as a tradition at the point when this book was first published. This is the 20th anniversary edition, so she talks about it in the notes for the 10th and 20th anniversary. But in the original book, it wasn't really mentioned as the reclaiming tradition of witchcraft. But that's what it is. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff and you live in those states, you live in my area, let me know. Message me on my Facebook. I have to check those messages too because I don't check those all the time. I don't get notifications of it on my phone because it would just be blowing up all the time, and I get obviously really distracted really easily. So if I'm in the middle of the day doing something else and I see, oh, somebody messaged me on Facebook asking for help on their path, of course I'm gonna help them immediately. And then I spend 2 hours helping people, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't actually get anything done that I actually get paid for. Huh, well. So I had to turn off notifications, and I just have to remember like once or twice a month to go in and look at my messages, because otherwise I will never get anything done. So, but yeah, that's a thing that my partner and I are trying to do. My partner has taken a couple of the classes with me now, and there are some other things just like in our area that we've been doing. My partner used to be a community organizer for like activism, like for environmentalist activist groups and stuff. And you will be meeting them in the future, by the way. Again, if we get a chance to get the stuff we need, start a podcast, do some more with the video game streaming. We don't have a camera for the stream. It's audio right now. But, no, a camera on us, I mean, so you don't see us. But stuff like that. I know you guys have talked about that before. You'll meet them in the future. But for now, just let me keep being vague about it and talking about it like you've never met them, because you haven't. You were supposed to last year, but the video wouldn't freaking do anything. I'm still so mad about that. That's what started my whole hiatus, was me being so mad about that. Anyway, so my partner has taken a couple classes with me, so that we can work together to develop reclaiming community in my area, and by extension, out into surrounding areas. I can be another option of nearby people, in addition to the 2 other existing communities where I have taken classes already near me, 6 hours away and 3-ish hours away. And I have teacher friends elsewhere all around the country and world who could also potentially travel here to teach with me if I have the people here who want to do the stuff. So, you know, that's the thing. I have also become the Cleveland area organizer for the Vegan Pagans of Ohio group, which is a Facebook group that was started by Vegan Kitchen Magic, who I met at Cleveland Veg Fest last year, and they are in Southern Ohio, so the group has been pretty active having gatherings and get-togethers in Southern Ohio, and there are some members of the Facebook group in the Northern Ohio area. So when Vegan Kitchen Magic and I met, later she asked me, like, hey, do you want to actually be the Cleveland area organizer and start having, like, dual events, one in Southern Ohio and one in Northern Ohio, Cleveland area? So I became that. So I've got that going on. We are also, my partner and I, we are also looking at doing some drum circles on the east side of Cleveland that are going to be outdoors. My partner is already part of the drum and music jam group and community. They used to go to the drum circles a lot in this area. And there are some that take place on the west side, but there's a lot of people on the east side who don't always want to travel all the way to the west side. And there's one big drum circle on the east side right now, but it's indoors, and so some people would like some options for outdoors. So that's something we're getting excited to start doing as soon as it warms up again. I'm really excited as soon as it gets warmer. Today was beautiful, but I've heard that tomorrow we're going to have a bunch of snow again. So, Ohio, right? Like, whatever. I'm used to it. I've lived here my whole life. But I'm really excited when it starts actually being warm and nice out that we can have our Vegan Pagans of Ohio meetings and get-togethers outside at a local park, because trying to get a space like at a library to get a meeting room, you have to plan so far in advance because they fill up, because there's constantly being community services, having meetings there, having orientations there, just having like little meetups and gatherings and all kinds of stuff, classes, workshops, things like that being offered in the libraries. And we love being in the libraries because then we're there, we're visible, people can wander in and out if they want to. We actually met some people the first time we did that. We had some people come in and we're like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, this is really cool, and talking to us about it. And turns out they have pagan family members and like vegan family members, and so it was just a really cool time. So that's very cool. It's also possible to run into people if you're at a public park though, and then at least we're outside. It can be nice, and we don't have to reserve space months in advance, because that's really hard to do when you're trying to schedule around different people's schedules and seeing if people can even get there, because people are working normal jobs and that some people are working alternate jobs where, you know, some people work the 9 to 5 and then other people work evenings and weekends. So no matter when you have something, half of your people can't make it. And if you only have 3 people interested in coming, that's a big deal if half of them can't go. You know, so it's just like building community stuff from the ground up. It's kind of new to me, kind of just playing it by ear. Definitely staying connected with the groups that are already in place, like continuing to go to Cleveland area Pagan Pride. I'm going to be submitting some proposals for workshops there this year. I go every year, but I've only been doing workshops every other year since I started. So my first workshop was presented there in 2015. And then I did 2 workshops one of which was co-taught with a friend of mine in 2017. And then here we are, 2019. So it's every other year. It's time for me to do some workshops for the community again. And yeah, so staying in touch with as many of the business owners as I can online on their social media, stuff like that. Just like trying to keep informed about what's already being offered is a thing. And I think I learned that from college, because whenever we had to plan like a club event or a group event that we were doing, we had to look at the campus calendar to see what other people were doing to make sure that it didn't conflict. And I can tell who does that and who doesn't, because I follow a lot of people and I try to keep just at least a tangential awareness of what people are doing. And then I see things popping up where people are like, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to be the official place to do this, and kind of like acting like nobody else is already doing it when I know that other people are already doing it, and they don't seem to be connected with those other people and yet. So it's just kind of like, oh, they didn't look into this before they did it. And I never want to be that person. I never want to be that person who's like, I am doing this brand new thing that no one's ever done. I'm bringing you this brand new content, and then find out that people have been doing it the whole time. Because I definitely feel bad when people do that, and it's something that I've been working on for a long time. And I'm like, I've actually been here doing the work. I don't know why you haven't found me before, because I'm out there, but, whatever. So I just try not to do that. And even saying that, I know it's not going to work every time. There are going to be times where I miss something, and that's just got to be okay. And when that happens, making it so that we can all work together, because clearly we want to do the same things, right? So clearly we have the same interests. We're in the same community. We, area, geographic area, community, that version of that word. So why not work together? Why not combine forces? And it just, I live in a city of solitaries is what I've been saying. Because it's really just like a lot of people just want to do their own thing and have their own thing. And that's cool. It just doesn't really create a wider sense of close community. You know what I mean? As opposed to like reclaiming, I have friends all over the world, and I actually feel like we are part of the same community, even though we don't live in the same place. Like, they just do a really good job of making you feel that togetherness. And I like that. And I think that more people can benefit from that if they want to. If they don't want to, obviously, you never have to. But I just feel like where people want certain opportunities and they are not currently being offered, that is where I can maybe try my hand tossing my conical hat into the ring and try to help make it happen. So that's my super long video to start March. But I'm just really proud of myself for even getting a video up the first weekend of the month. Good job, me. Good job, me. Thanks, me. Okay. That was a Jenna Marbles. Okay. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, I hope you're looking forward to seeing the eventual completion of my readings page. And if you're sponsoring me on Patreon, I will get you the rewards figured out as soon as possible. And yeah, if you live in my sort of area and are interested in reclaiming, let me know. If you're not interested in reclaiming but are still in my area and are interested in general get-togethers and stuff, that's cool too, because reclaiming stuff is not necessarily like you don't have to be of that tradition to do it. It's very open in that way, or it can be. So within a certain set of rules and behaviors, like how we like to operate, yeah, there's room for everybody. And in the Vegan Pagans of Ohio group too. people have asked me, like, do you have to identify as pagan? What if I identify as an atheist? Like, that's cool. Come on in. So that's how I feel about it. The more the merrier. When there is no community, there is no room to say, like, you can't be here unless there are, like, actual behavioral, like, issues of, like, if you're being hateful and rude, you gotta stop that to play in my yard. You know, I've said that before, so. But other than that, yes. So let me know. I'll shut up now. Bye. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to be awesome. Blessed be. And goodbye.